Welcome back to Box Office Maniacs, and we are here again to talk about The Mist. And this is episode 7. So, being that it's episode 7, and if you're new to these reviews, I guess I will do a rehash of what happened up until episode 7. And I promise it will be quick. Very, very quick, because there's not that much to talk about. So basically, what The Mist is this supernatural force that came out of some sort of military base that nobody really knows what it is, and it took over this small town. And there are several different groups of people in the show. We have the one group who are supposed to be like the perfect parents who are raising a perfect little kid, and their perfect little teenage kid ends up going to this party, and then she gets drunk and molested by somebody who she doesn't know who it is. So you have that group. And then you have the religious group, which is in the church, obviously. And then you have the other group of mysterious people, who are the military guy who just recently got shot, and the drug addict, which we don't really know much about her. So you have all these group of people, and they've all split up, and now they're in sort of 3 different sections in the show. We have the people in the mall, we have the people in the church, and we have the people in the hospital. And they're all battling the mist. Actually, they're not, because they're all inside. Nobody will go outside to see what the mist is. So up until this point, I can say that the show has been entertainingly bad. I guess that's a word. Entertainingly bad is a good way to describe this show. It's been entertaining, but at the same time, it's not been very good. This is the first episode I can truly say that was just plain boring. This was a boring episode. I was bored through this entire thing. Really, there was only one pretty cool sequence, and that was it in the whole show, and the rest of it just dragged. Even when the show is at its very worst, which has been for quite a while, it's still, like I said, it's entertainingly bad. It's funny because it's so bad to watch it. But this one wasn't, it was just boring. So let's start with the most boring part of the show. So you have the mother with the daughter who was molested, and they're in the loading dock of the mall, like in the back area of the mall. And you have this other group of people who are in the front of the mall. So you got those two people split up. And the people that are in the front of the mall are like, sitting around playing board games. But the one guard, he's freaking out because they only have like 2 days worth of food left. And, he knows everybody's going to start starving, and then everybody's going to start going crazy, which would be nice if something would happen here in the mall, because nothing really literally is happening here in this part of the story. We have the president of the mall, and he was up in his office. I think he had like a box of donuts or ding-dongs or something that he's eating, and he's shoving them in his face, and somebody knocked on his door, and he hit him, because, everybody's starving, but he has all these snacks up in his office that he's eating. And the one kind of funny part in this is she basically did a Toy Story. The people in the loading dock wanted to know what the people in front were saying, so she took a baby monitor and snuck up there to the front of the mall. And then she took the baby monitor and stuck it in the planter, and then started talking to him, and then walked off. So it was definitely a Toy Story moment where all the soldiers, stuck the baby monitor to listening to what's his head open the presents. But that was pretty funny. I was like, okay, yeah, that's Toy Story. But other than that, really nothing went on in the mall, and they kept going back to it, and it was just a boring sequence. That whole sequence was just, there was nothing going on. And then we have the hospital sequence, and what's going on there is a little bit more interesting, but not by much. They basically went to the psych ward because, I don't know why, I guess the mist was coming down the hallway, and that's the only place they could go was the psych ward. So this guy let him in, and it was pretty much obvious as soon as this guy opened the door up that he was one of the patients, but apparently none of these people really figured that out. But the guy was a Looney Tune, and even the way he was talking, you could tell he's crazy. You knew he was one of the patients, but yet the people that were there didn't realize this guy was a patient. Let me explain something about the show. I don't really know anybody's names. I've been watching this for 7 episodes, and I have the guy who writes owl books. I have the military guy. I got the drug addict. I got the gay kid. I have the mother who's prostitute of the town. I got her kid. That's how I know these kids. I don't really know their names, but in this episode, the kid that is gay, they actually said his name like 27,000 times. So I know his name's Adrian now. He's the only one I know. Adrian. He's the only one. I have no idea who anyone else in the show is. Their names. I seriously don't. So Adrian's bathroom buddy wakes up because they're sleeping in the same room, and Adrian's gone. So he freaks out, and they find Adrian in the room with the psych ward patient, because the psych ward patient killed everybody that was in there. They found him in a closet or something, and he was going to kill Adrian because he kept saying that he's evil, and he has evil inside of him, he's going to kill him, and all this stuff. And the main guy, the owl writing book guy, he talked the psychotic guy to open the door up, and then he beat him to death. Which, okay, that was interesting because it showed that this character would go where he had to go. And I'm glad they didn't just take psychotic ward guy and throw him out in the mist or lock him in his own room. Now this guy pretty much beat him to death. I mean, that was pretty cool, right? So they all just left. I mean, they didn't really stay around. They're like, okay, we're done here. Let's leave. Let's go. So they walked down the hallway, and that was pretty much it. I mean, there was really nothing going on between the mall and the hospital. I think they were just trying to wrap it up, I suppose, to get on to the next thing. But the interesting sequence here was the church. If you want to call it interesting. It's kind of horrifying, actually. So the sheriff punched I don't know why it's so fun. But the sheriff punched the preacher right in the nose. I mean, he clocked him right in the nose. And because he found out, the preacher basically told the choir boy guy to take the old woman up into, that's the other person, the old woman, took her up to the attic of the church or whatever, and he was going to kill her. But then they broke the window of the attic out and let the mist in, and ended up killing the choir boy. And they showed his body in this, and it was impressive. I couldn't tell if it was CG or if it was an actual real effect, or I don't know, but it looked really cool. And whatever the mist did to that guy, it really screwed him up. I mean, pretty bad. So then the old woman actually came up with an interesting idea, because she has her own little religion going on compared to the actual religion that this pastor is preaching. And she's like, hey, why don't you and I walk out into the mist and see who survives? And if you die, hey, my religion is right. And if I die, hey, your religion is right. And all these people will know who to follow. My question is, why would these people want to follow either one of these people? Why don't they make up their own decision? I didn't understand that, but okay, whatever. So then, the older woman decided she's going to go naked. And this is where sort of the terrifying stuff comes in. Takes her clothes off, and if you notice her face, she's all wrinkly. I mean, she does not have a young face. I don't know how old she is. But as soon as she took her clothes off and dropped them, they showed her from behind, and she's walking off, down towards the front of the doors with the pastor, and literally her backside looks like she's about 30 years old. So I'm wondering if they used a body double for her, or if she's just wrinkly up on top and nothing, and she's fine the rest of her. I don't even know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, to me it looked like a body double. It didn't look like her. Because when she took that robe off, I was expecting her to look like the woman who got out of the bathtub, from The Shining. I kind of expected something like that. But she had like the body of a 25, 30-year-old and walking down the aisle. And if that's her body, good for her. But I have a feeling that it was a body double. So these two people go out into the mist, and this is the only good part of the whole episode, or at least I thought. They go out into the mist, and they're standing there, and she's standing there naked, and the pastor's out there preaching a sermon or whatever. And all of a sudden, the four horsemen of the apocalypse show up, and that was cool. I mean, I liked what they looked like. They're all silhouetted. I mean, they could have been cosplayers. I mean, they had really cool armor on. They looked pretty cool. I got to tell you. And the guy had a really awesome bow. It was like, man, it was out of bones or something. And he shot an arrow into the pastor's chest, and then pulled the pastor off with the horses. That was pretty cool. It's about the only cool scene in the whole other boring episode this week. So I'm assuming now all these people are going to be thinking that her religion, whatever it is that she's talking about, is the correct religion. Because she's basically telling them, okay, it's time for us to leave. Let's get out of here. Let's go through the mist. Let's take off. So everybody's basically leaving, finally going out to the mist, hopefully, because at the end of this episode, it only said there's 3 episodes left. And I was like, oh, well, okay, so this is only a 10 episode. I had no idea how long the series was going to go, but it's only a 10 episode, which is fine. I mean, that's a good length for the show, I think, 10 episodes. So I only have 3 more episodes to bring you. And I'm kind of curious to see how if they're gonna wrap up the show, or if they're planning on doing a second season. Are they gonna leave it off with a cliffhanger? I have no idea at this point. But I hope the next episode is a little bit more exciting, because this just dragged and nothing interesting happened. The characters weren't that interesting this week. Stories were boring, and the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse was the only interesting thing that I think happened this week. So there you go. There is my review. Nice short one this week because it was just boring, and I don't want to bore you as much as I was bored with the show this week. So hopefully if you watch this episode, you let me know what you thought of it. And you guys have been leaving so many great comments, and I read them all, and I try to reply to most of them, as many as I can. And I don't know, this show is, like I said, entertainingly bad. And I'm still kind of entertained with it because it's so bad. But this one was just boring bad. It wasn't even entertainingly bad, it was just boring bad. But I will be back next week with episode 8, and only a couple more left, so we'll see what happens here. So if you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you know next week when I upload another review for this wonderful show, you will get a notification that I will have uploaded something. That's what the little bell's for if you don't know. Thank you for watching. You guys have been amazing, and love your comments. Keep commenting. I read everything, like I said, and I will see you next week on Box Office Maniacs. That is if the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse doesn't show up and shoot me with an arrow. But I'm not going to get naked, so I think I'll be okay.